Welcome to Co-op Mode, round 149. This is your official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. My goodness, we're almost at a significant number in time. I am Todd Oxford, one of your hosts, joined by the Canadian Mark Carabin.
Hello. How are you tonight?
Mark,
yes.
I was thinking about this.
Okay.
150.
Yeah.
It's a sesquicentennial. That's the official name of that number. Because Michigan had that for a long time. I'm like, that's a number that I had not heard of. Sesquicentennial. So we're going to have to think about what we do for our next episode. It should be fun. Should be big. We don't hit this very often. We don't hit like big prime numbers because we do this every 2 weeks. So we'll have to think of what we're going to do, but I think we're going to make it a fun time regardless. We are in Shocktober, Mark. So if you see my background, I've got like Castlevania zombies going on. Pumpkins are being carved, pumpkin spice latte.
We've got demons from Doom, everything. You got a little everything going on.
Exactly.
Have
you unleashed the maple syrup? Is that what's happened?
I mean, I'm Canadian, so we unleash the maple syrup all year round. So we just, we add a little pumpkin spice to our maple syrup when it becomes spooky season.
It's got to be like pumpkin spice Timbits right now. It's got to be Molson Ice pumpkin is going on. Anything else pumpkin? Like, do you have a favorite like holiday treat you like this time of year?
Oh, I'm a sucker for pumpkin pie. You give me a good pumpkin pie, I'm good. That'd be. I like pumpkin pie. I like pumpkin anything. Like give me a chunky sweater and call me a white girl, because you give me a pumpkin spice muffin, pumpkin pie, whatever it is, I am down. Like, let's get some fall vibes going. Let's put Hocus Pocus on Disney Plus and call it a night.
Oh, I'm all in. We watch all of the Food Network, like Halloween shows. Outrageous Pumpkins has been playing. I'm all in. It is, the weather's not telling me it's fall yet, which is ridiculous. Don't like that at a bit, but we're having a good time. I'm growing a pumpkin, Mark. In my garden, I planted pumpkins. I've got one pumpkin that is big, but it's still green. And I got another little pumpkin on the side. So hopefully that little guy will become a jack-o'-lantern in the fall. I'm going to feed it some water, and hopefully we're good to go. Either the opossum, the fox, or the squirrels don't attack it, but we'll see what happens.
Fingers crossed for the little pumpkins. That's exciting. That's great.
Yeah, I will probably share some pictures on the Instagrams and the threads, but we'll see where we go from there. But, enough talk about pumpkin season. We're going to be talking about that for the next 3 episodes, which is great. I love that. We're going to get some spooky season. I know we've got a couple guests lined up, so it's going to be very fun. So, but before we do that, Mark, I need you to thank some special people.
Absolutely. I'm giving a big pumpkin spice shout out to our friends over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite, where you can go right now to get a free 1-week trial for all the ad-free shows, exclusive shows, all that kind of stuff, Discord benefits, everything. Again, free trial, and then as little as $2 a month to help us out. So the people I want to thank are Besties tier, Chris from 1H1D, Derek Trevelyan, aka the Figure Dude, Francie, the official hairstylist of SFU. Apparently that's a title we're giving out now. The Xbox expansion pass. Todd with his luscious locks, and me in a completely different country, but Francie, good stuff. The Xbox expansion pass, and Charlie's uncle Tim. Thank you all so much. Our friends with benefits tier, John Sedorf, the Phoenix Sisters Entertainment Group, Brennan Myers, Corey in HD, aka the Boss Rush CEO, and Matthew Keel. And last but certainly not least, the person that that Todd just finished recording a podcast. They're doing double duty tonight. Sean, Stella, and Henry Nias. Thank you all so much. Everyone needs to tune into your new show with Sean. You wanna tell us a little bit about what's going on with you two?
Yeah, it's got a great name. Waiver Wire Wizard. So it's basically like leaning into like the fantasy football, and also the waiver wire where players show up. It's a show where we talk about our fantasy football teams. We kind of guide you through. I am the noob. I am kind of like the gimmick man, the jokey guy, and Sean is the straight man with all of the info. We have a good time. We talk about fantasy football, how we're doing, but also help people with their picks in the world of fantasy football. I'm not sure how exciting fantasy football is in Canada, Mark, with the Canadian Football League. But you know what? If there is one, we want to be a part of it. So if you want to put that together, let us know.
Yeah, I do not follow football at all, Canadian or American. So I'm definitely not the guy to ask about that one. I know at work they have a fantasy hockey draft.
Oh yeah,
And I once dressed up as fantasy football for Halloween.
the Wizard,
Yeah, I wore
the Wizard of fantasy football.
I wore a big like Gandalf wizard like wig and beard, and I had a football jersey on and a staff with a football on the top of it instead of like a crystal or something like that. And that's what I wore to work that day. I was fantasy football.
Mark, if I had a picture of that, you could be like our logo. So all I'm saying is, if you want to volunteer, we can make you our logo as your.
You give me 3 seconds. I'm sure I can find that picture. I will
Perfect.
hunt that
We
down
would
for
love
you.
it.
And
I would love it. You
we'll
could be, if you want to just make
something.
a thumbnail for me, that would be fun. I could just make little quotes against it. I think it would be amazing every week, because I'm not a great, like I started with like Canva, my thumbnails. It's usually me going like with the thought bubbles,
Yep.
but if it could be a fantasy
You're
football wizard,
really good.
I would gladly take that, and it would be amazing. So I think we're going to look for that. It's an upgrade,
I'll
folks.
try my
So
best
if
to do
you are interested in fantasy football, or you're on a Patreon and you just want to be entertained by a bunch of goofs talking about football that are Minnesota homers, check that out. And if you want to see Mark in a wizard costume, hey, we're just adding value every week, folks, is all I can say.
Exactly. Yeah, that is it.
Fantastic. And by the way, we will be, since we're in October, we'll be talking about our next Patreon podcast that we had. The last one was a blast. We had a lot of fun. We learned about each other, and we might regret what we learned, but I think the next one will be a lot of fun. We'll put out a poll when people will be available next time. So I think there'll be a step forward. Oh, I love it, Mark. Send it forward if you're watching on YouTube right now. Mark is showing his famous wizard with the football staff. I love this.
It's good stuff.
The best is yet to come, folks, as they say. Well, on this podcast, we know the best is yet to come with a great segment that probably has a couple lives left before we retire it, and that is buy, rent, return, unless you request it to come back, because I'm running out of ideas, quite honestly. But this week, we're looking at buy, rent, return Zelda games. So, Mark, I've picked Link's crossbow training on the Wii, Link the Faces of Evil on the CDI from Philips, and apparently there's a remastered version if you look at what I'm talking about, and then Four Swords Adventure, which was a GBA game which required 4 cables, a GameCube, and the game.
Man, these are all a mess. So Four Swords has a couple of different iterations. I think for Four Sword Adventures may have been mildly better than Four Swords, because Four Swords was like, I think just GBA, but Four Swords Adventures, yeah, you're right. You need a GameCube, the game itself, 4 Game Boy Advances, 4 people in the same room willing to play this crap.
It's like a LAN party.
And it's just like the link cables alone were just such a mess to plug into.
How long were those? 6 feet?
I think
that long?
Standard ones, they weren't even that long. Like I really don't know. Yeah, so that was such a mess. Crossbow training, oh man, and Link Faces of Evil. Okay, so as usual, I'm going to ask a qualifying question here because these are all horrible. Are we buying the least objectionable one and returning like the trash of the trash, or are we rewarding horribleness in this point and we're buying the worst one possible? How do you want us to go with this?
Mark, I'm going to be very kind. What would you like it to be? The worst of the worst or the best of the best?
I think let's buy the best of the worst and return the hot trash in this summer.
Okay, perfect.
I think that's the way to go this time.
Okay. Yeah. Then go to town.
Okay.
Take out the trash.
Okay, in this case, I am going to buy Link's crossbow training. I think specifically because it's the most modern of these. It, yes, kind of, used a peripheral, but I don't think you needed the peripheral. You could probably just point the Wii remote and play this one, right? So
it's like $20 too, right?
Yeah, it was cheap. It was fine. It came with the accessory that you needed, unlike Four Swords Adventure, which, you had to spend hundreds of dollars on other things just to play this stupid game. And I think, the Wii was home to a few of those like light gun-esque games that didn't have a ton of depth, but they were fine. They did their purpose of being another example of something to show off the Wii to someone who had only played an arcade game years ago and can point at a screen and pretend to play, something like Duck Hunt. So I think that's the least objectionable one. I'm going to buy crossbow training. I'm going to rent Four Swords Adventures.
Oh,
for some reason. Just because, you know what?
You might be able to play that game, right? Yeah. It's kind of like, I might be able to play that game.
I think it's playable. And I mean, like, those games are based off of, they were based off of Link to the Past, the GBA port.
The artwork, yeah.
And I'm such a sucker for those kind of games. Like, you get the Wind Waker style, but on the GBA, so that's like the Minish Cap kind of look. I love that time in gaming. I love that art style. I love the look. Obviously, like, Wind Waker Link is permanently tattooed on me. Like, I like that style. So I think that's the only thing really saving this game for me is like it looks like Wind Waker Link on the cover of this game.
I was going to tell you that because there was so right now the Four Swords Adventure, if you want to buy it on GameCube, is $232. So enjoy that. Yeah, but the other part was there was a Four Swords. If you got the Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past on the GBA, that was an additional game for free, essentially thrown in. So that was like no bother, but it was linking up GBAs together without a GameCube game, right? That was the main difference.
Yeah, that was it. Free add-on. It was a couple of hours, I think. There's not much there.
It's a very odd add-on too, because it's like, okay, buy this game and then, hey, for your friends come over. And was it one of those games where you could share the game with other people if you had a copy? Or did they also need the same game? That's the weird part. It was like some games did. You didn't need it. You just, your friends would show up to the party.
Yeah. I think this one was multi-cart. I can't remember 100%. But I think just the Four Swords, not Four Swords Adventure. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's been a long time. That one might have. There was one of these that was released that you could play it by yourself because you could control all of them and kind of line them up in certain ways.
Oh, that was kind of like more like Lemmings or something like that. You would like almost like with the four Marios and something where you're like, oh, I'm controlling you.
Yeah.
And my Lemmings.
Someone's listening and they know this. Please DM me or write on Discord or something like that to tell me what game I'm thinking of, or if I'm way off base for this with my what 25-year-old guess. When was this released? 2002. So yeah, like I'm not too far off, like 22 years ago.
Yeah.
Um,
But
yeah,
one
someone
required the GameCube, one did not. It was GBA only.
Yeah. So that leaves Faces of Evil to be returned because those CDI games were just like, what? Why?
What was
why?
Nintendo thinking?
What? Yeah. Why?
This is their FU to Sony. Look what we're going to do with CD technology.
Yeah. Like everything, the art style,
Gameplay.
Just all around no. So that's those are my choices and I'm sticking to them. How are you feeling about this lineup?
So this is going to be a weird one because I'm going to say buy Link's Crossbow Training. I did play this game. It's $20. It was fun. It was basically using it was a first person shooter on it was fun. I enjoyed this game for what it was. It was cheap and it wanted to show off the technology. Totally get that. Wow. The next though, this is the problem. I didn't own a CDI, so I can't even play that game. So I guess I'm gonna return it because I'd be like, "Hey, I got this game. Don't have the system. Thanks, Grandma."
Well,
I heard you like.
Really
I heard you like Link.
That and the system.
Oh God! Imagine how much that would cost. Was a CDI like $80-$100, and here's a copy of the Encarta dictionary and the CDI. What else was on the CDI, Mark? I don't know.
I really don't know.
I think it was probably Encarta dictionary, and that was it. Maybe a weird Marky Mark video back in the day. That was that one video remake on MTV Video Maker with Marky Mark, and
somehow 3 Zelda games: The Faces of Evil, Wand of Gamelon, and Zelda's Adventure. We got Hotel Mario.
Oh God!
There was a version of Tetris, Sesame Street, Dark Castle, arcade classics, including Miss Pac-Man, that kind of stuff.
Good.
Seventh Guest, Dragon's Lair. There were some games.
CDI technology at its highest. Seventh Guest.
Yeah.
Wow. And the worst controller in the world. It was kind of like a remote control that quite honestly was not meant for any type of, that was part of the bad. So you know what? I will take Four Swords Adventure because quite honestly, in this version with the GameCube, I couldn't even play this because quite honestly, it's me, my GameCube, my GBA, and myself. So I'm like, I'm just hanging out by myself? Can I do it by myself? Don't know, but at least I could try and I could return it. But the Faces of Evil, Mark, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm like, a CDI was probably $800. I had to watch an infomercial on TV to get one. And then I got this game. How much the games cost? I don't know. I don't want to know.
A clue. Yeah, really. I don't.
But I remember the advertisements for this system on TV. You were too young. I remember showing it. I'm like, that just looks weird. I was not even intrigued I wanted. It was like, wow, this is bad. Wow, how much are they charging for this? And why is there an infomercial on Saturday afternoons?
Wow.
Don't know. Yeah. Wow. So sorry, Link, The Faces of Evil, and all those games. We salute you for whatever deal Nintendo made to piss off Sony. I guess it was worth it at that point, right? It was like, we don't like Sony. We're gonna do our own thing.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I suppose I don't know. Yeah, maybe I guess they learned something from that, but I really what was the thought process here?
It was weird. I mean, there's an eerie era of consoles. It was like the Philips CDI. It was the 3DO. Oh, the CDI costs $700.
Not adjusted for inflation?
Nope, that's what was priced in 1991.
What?
Because it was an educational tool where you get Encarta, Mark. I'm going to look up Wand of Gamelon price.
Oh my goodness.
See how much I don't know where, they were just, I assume they were just on regular CDs. Let's see, do they have a price? Sorry, folks. We're just entertaining ourselves at this point.
That is insane. What year did you say that was?
1991.
1991.
I mean, sales. Sold a
That is
respectable number of units, is all they say. I
that
don't
is
know.
$1,360.
Okay, so don't piss off like Sony and say you don't. Yeah,
$1,360 for. Wow, that is astounding. And like our last episode was talking, are they pricing gamers out? Like, no, they were in 1991 with this absolute horse crap. Holy crap.
my goodness. You can get Astrology 2 for $10. Can I buy a Wanda Gamelon game right now? You could get Dragon's Lair on the CDI, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love this. There was an NFL trivia game, which is great. Mad Dog McCree is $260 right there, Mark. So, yeah.
Wow.
This is amazing. So, Nintendo is in a better place now. Thank God.
Just a smidge.
Just a little bit better. Yeah. You don't need like 4 systems. You can play, you don't have to shoot things. You can just enjoy the games on the Switch for a minimal price. But with that, we get to what we've been playing, and it just kind of leads into this topic. We talked about Zelda, and we get a new Zelda game, Mark. Is that what we're starting this week?
Realistically, yeah, I think so. I mean, I can start with something else because we've both played a little bit of Zelda. So let's play with what else we've been playing, and then we'll both back and forth on Zelda. So the only other thing I've been really playing, because my wife is back into a playthrough of Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh, nice.
My son has been increasingly interested in Mario Maker and has been playing through some of the like pre-made stages. I've made some stages for him.
Oh, nice.
And he's been really trying to create his own levels. And they with varying levels and degrees of success, and I've kind of helped him along a little bit and shown him how to place some things, but he's learning. He's very interested, which I find super interesting to watch. So all that being said, my Switch time has been minimal. So I've been playing the hell out of my RG35XX SP, which has come in absolute clutch the last little while. And I've been playing. I started a brand new save file of Pokemon Fire Red. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. I'm quite proud of my Pokemon nicknames. I've got a Charmander named S'more. My usual Nidoran named Chip, as always. My wife named my Magikarp Wanda because we just watched WandaVision. I asked her what the name was. We were literally on the final episode of WandaVision. She was like, "Oh yeah, name that Wanda." I was like, "It's a Magikarp. It's going to go into a giant Gyarados." She's like, "It's Wanda." Okay.
Have you seen a fish named Wanda?
No.
Oh my God. You need to see this. Amazing comedy. John Cleese, Jamie Curtis is in it, and it's amazing. It's great. Kevin Kline, very good comedy, very British. A lot of British, like Monty Python comedians. Very, very good. Fish called Wanda.
I don't think she was aware of that. Maybe she was, and it just completely flew over my head.
You need to watch it. It's amazing comedy.
So I have a fish named Wanda, a Mankey called DK, which I call him Danky Kang, but I couldn't write that all out, so I just called him DK. A Pikachu named Thor, and my personal favorite, a Pidgey named Bertie Sanders.
Is he sitting on a bench or like a chair? Cold?
Maybe. Yeah. Okay. It's usually in a Pokeball, but when I take him out, definitely bench. So that's my team. I'm quite proud of it. And and I'm loving replaying that game. And I've been talking to another friend who has been playing Pokemon Emerald on his RG35XX. And I've never played that game. And I've realized that I haven't played that generation of games since it came out on the GBA years and years ago. So I think that's going to be my next one, is Pokemon Emerald. And man, I have completely forgotten about like that whole generation.
Oh, wow.
So Yeah, I'm looking forward to diving into that one soon.
And Mark, you're playing on an official console because we know Nintendo apparently is not liking people that are
Ooh,
playing
mercy. Yeah.
Nintendo systems on emulated old, new systems because, even though they can't sell us those games, they don't want to sell us those games. They don't want you to enjoy those games. So be
Absolutely.
careful.
I have my. It was around here somewhere. I don't know where it went. But I do have my original GBA, and I do have my original copies of most of the games I'm playing. So yeah, there we go.
I think we're getting to the point where it's like you're gonna have to have them on your body where they frisk you. Like it's crazy. We see you're playing a system, sir.
Yeah,
We need to check your credentials. We gotta love
that
that.
is it.
So yeah.
Yeah,
So
come knocking,
send out.
Nintendo.
Wow.
So again, let's get into what else you've been playing, and then both talk about Echoes of Wisdom.
Sure. I have now beat AstroBot. It's an amazing game. Loved it. I think I finished at 205 bots. So I've
Wow.
got 95 more to find.
Yeah.
They are adding more challenge levels, which the challenge levels, Mark, take me back to Super Mario Sunshine in
Mm-hmm.
regards to some of those levels that are just like that, where they're one-offs, but you have to go to get the heart.
Yeah.
Same thing with Mario Galaxy. Super hard, super fun for like one robot. But I still want to do it, and it's fun. Absolutely loving it. It's amazing.
Yeah. It looks like such a fun game. Finn and I, this is one game that we've watched a lot of the playthrough. We on YouTube or whatever. Like, he thinks Astrobot is super cute. It has. If we weren't planning and saving up for a Disney trip in April, I would probably be looking into a PS5 for Christmas because he is wild about this game, and seeing them collect all the little bots and just not being a huge Sony guy myself, seeing how many of these bots I get excited for and I recognize is just like, whether my brother played the game or I just appreciate the games or know it from gaming history or have played the games myself on a PS2 or PS4. Yeah, there is something really magical about this, and I'm sure it's even more fun to play yourself than watch someone
It's
else play it.
it's it's great, and they've really in the amount of thought they put into like all of the dual sense controls. Like when you're pulling like a spring, it feels like you're pulling a damn spring. It's so weird. I love it. The way it feels. And when Finn does that, when he plays it for the first time, whenever he does, or if he goes to his uncle's house and his uncle lets him play, whatever, or ask your uncle, Finn, to borrow the PlayStation 5. I think that's let your kid pull his heartstrings. Don't have to buy one. Just borrow it for a week. His mind will be blown. It's wonderful. I even let Chris do some of the controls, and she does not do this. She loved it. She's like, oh my God, I can feel different surfaces. And it's amazing. So we had a blast. The fact, though, that I think is one of the coolest parts is they allow you to basically recreate gameplay of other games. The God of War level is amazing. It's so much fun. You're playing as Kratos, essentially, as AstroBot. You're playing as Nathan Drake in Uncharted. You're playing in Horizon Zero Dawn. It's so much fun. I love it. And then when you rescue the bots and you put them on your planet, Mark, they basically create their own little spots, and then you go to like little places to unlock with your coins. Like it's like a gotcha machine where it's like the little things you can get stuff. So it gets their little habitats, you can get different costumes, you can get different controller designs, and it's great. So you go around like your land and you hit them and to see what they'll do. So you got like Dante from Devil May Cry, who's like hitting things and hitting up and blasting with his guns. It's so much fun. I love it that they did that, and it's just so much fun. Absolutely a blast. It makes me want to go back and finish the game, but they are bringing back a couple more new bots. Like I think the Helldivers are coming in,
Oh, cool.
and they've announced some other ones, and they're bringing in some new trial levels, which are great because those are the ones that like you're like, I'm not doing this again, just one more time. It's so much fun. Love it.
Yeah.
And the music is amazing on every level. You feel like, oh my God, it's a technical one. There's spooky levels, which make you feel like you're in like Luigi's Mansion. It's an amazing game. I love it. You know what? Other people may get mad that it's like PlayStation, getting into that like member berries, but you know what? Everybody does that. Everybody wants those things that take them back. So highly recommend AstroBot. It's only, I think, $60, and you can get the other stuff. So it's not as bad as like $70. So it's pretty good. The other game I played, this one's weird because I really wanted to love this game. Plucky Squire. This is on PS Plus right now. I think you can buy it for like $30, $20 on other systems. This is the game that looks like a picture book, but as the character, the Plucky Squire named Jot, jumps out of the book, turns into a 3D adventure game. And it's very cute. It uses like word puzzles where on the printed page, it'll like describe something. You can hit one of the words, take that word, switch it out with another word in another part, and it would change the level. Like a dense jungle turns into a sparse jungle, so you can get around. Or it's there's drought. You can add in the word to make it water. Very cool idea. There is also some abilities to then add in like a spin mechanic or throw your sword or do these things. So it feels very much like a Zelda game. You've got a little party. You're going through the book. You can then emerge from the book and go in the 3D world to do different things. You can go into the different pages of the book to go back. So I like the idea. It's very beautiful, very cool. It is kind of feels like I know what they're doing, but I'm not loving doing it, which sucks because I think it could be better.
Or execution?
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like, hey, they got the Zelda thing, but I'm like, yeah, but the combat's not very fun. Or it's doing this, but it's slowing me down. Or there's some stealth. I don't really want stealth in this game. Or I know what word I need to find. Where was that word? Let me go back, find it. So it feels like more busy work at times, and that gets in the way. I'm not the only one that feels that way because I'm like, when I hear people talk about the game, I'm like, maybe they're old curmudgeons, maybe they feel that way. Yeah, no, I feel the same way too, which sucks. But I'm not paying for the game. But it's adorable. It's wonderful when you go from the every time you go from like the page of the book into the world, it looks amazing. So I like what this developer did, and if they can do something better in the next game, I would love it. But it's a game that is a mixed bag for me, but I like what they went after.
Yeah, very cool art style. But yeah, I've heard the same thing a few times, that it's cool in concept, not so much in execution. So
it does feel a little bit younger age too. It feels like for a younger person, they might like it more, but I was scared. I'm like, they might be bored though, because the combat's few and far between at times. I don't think kids like stealth elements where they have to hide between the beetle and go from there. And then it's like, oh, where did I see that word and change it out? It feels like homework, Dad. But it's a video game, kids. Do the homework. Yeah. So
hard to do that when there's an actual Zelda game out. And
yes,
like one thing that I forgot to mention, but like TMNT Shredder's Revenge just dropped new DLC introducing Mona Lisa and
for free.
Mondo Gecko. No, the update for free was the soundtrack update. They did remixes
so
of the soundtracks. You get that for free.
Is this part of a season pass or just a one-off purchase of new characters?
I think it was like $5 Canadian. Okay. So like $3, $4, something like that US. Sure. Like stupidly cheap for 2 extra characters. I don't think there's anything extra. Finn and I just jumped in again, played the 2 new characters in some stages we had already played, and I really haven't dove back into it since then. But like, when that's the kind of fun you can be having, and there's other things, the fall's starting to pick up. There's a lot of new releases. So Plucky Squire might have just released at an unfortunate time for a game that's reminiscent of other games, but doesn't do anything as good or better than some of the games that are out right now or coming out in the near future.
I'd say wait until it comes on a game service that you subscribe to, or wait for a discount. That's the best way to put it. Yeah. Very cool. So that leads us into probably the main thrust of the show, which is a little game with a new main character you might have heard of, Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom. So, Mark, I was delayed in getting this game because Gamefly's like, we'll send it to you. And I'm like, oh, good. You sent it on Wednesday. I'll get it on Friday, maybe. Got it on Monday. When did you get this game?
I had an issue getting this game as well, but I ended up I did get it on release night. Could not play it until the next day because I was fully ready to go. I have 2 more vouchers, Nintendo vouchers. This was going to be one of them. Because my wife, despite absolutely adoring Ocarina of Time as like one of her favorite games, loving Twilight Princess and a few other entries in the series, didn't seem to have a ton of interest in this game at first.
Mark, I have to ask a question.
Yep.
When you said my wife, why didn't you say my wife?
My wife.
There you go.
Should have. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind for next time.
Yes, please
anyway,
do.
so we, I was showing Finn some trailers of this game maybe 2 nights before it came out. And I was very lucky that I didn't pre-order it because she started looking at it and actually like really watching the trailers and something clicked. And she said, oh, I kind of want to play this. And I said, okay, well, does that change me from getting a voucher to a physical copy? So we can share because we have 2 Switches in the house.
Yeah.
It's easier to just kind of share carts when it's a single player game and it's one experience. We're not both going to buy a copy of this game because even though she wants to play it, she is fine with me playing through it first. And that's the reason I had to
and
wait.
She wants you to lose the cartridge because Finn has taken the cartridge and thrown it in the toilet.
Of course. Yes. So that's the reason I had to wait till the next day to play it because she and Finn both wanted to like watch the intro of this game, wanted to watch a little bit of gameplay, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it was a really, really great family experience, but I had to day of like rush out to Walmart and be like, please tell me you have a copy of this game left. And they did. There were plenty there. I wasn't too concerned, but yeah, so that might actually be the way I convinced my brother to lend us his PS5 because he also did not pick up this game day of and then found out that I had a physical copy and said, I might hold off, let me borrow that.
An even trade. What you trading?
Trade. Well, I mean, we could trade for the amount of time it takes him to beat the game and the amount of time it takes
Take Finn over to his house.
Yeah. We got
He can play the game a little bit. You guys can play AstroBot and everybody's happy.
That sounds great. Yeah, so Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom. Absolutely loved it. So far, I say loved it. Loving it so far. I have not beaten the game. This is going to be very non-spoilery talk.
Yes.
Because Todd and I are both very early in this game. And we don't want to spoil it for anyone who, like us, has not put the time into this game. This divisive art style, I think. I love the art style.
I love it.
Chibi Link here, the amiibo from Link's Awakening. I dig it, and I'm very happy that they're revisiting this art style and giving Zelda her own game. I love her being the focus of this Zelda game, and they referenced that several times in this game so far, which I love that it's self-referential, and you have people saying like, oh, Zelda, you're the princess, you shouldn't be out, or I can't believe the skills that you're showing off, or like you can
Zelda, do you want to play with me? I love that line. Like people like, I'm the damn princess, I'm not playing with you damn dirty kids.
Yeah. But I find that so endearing about Zelda is this kid asks her, and to me that played across as like, that's happened before. So you have this very outgoing princess who everyone knows, everyone adores, not out of the ordinary for her to probably play with the kids in the village and go greet everyone and that kind of stuff. So to see her take over the role of the hero and to step up like that and do all of these unexpected things, I'm absolutely loving that spin on it. And and I didn't know how I would feel about the echo mechanic, and I'm really loving it. I'm really digging being able to play in different styles. And Finn's picked up this game a few times, and seeing a 4-year-old solve combat and puzzles and drop echoes to the point where he's been running around the house with like he had this umbrella. He's
Beds.
been running around the
Oh,
house
okay.
and just
Sure.
like dropping echoes and that kind of stuff. Yeah, he's been really really interesting to see how he thinks of the approaches to different things and different paths. You can also very much go on different paths. He's in a different part of the map in his save
Oh,
file.
really? Okay.
Um, and I copied my save after like the intro kind of thing because he watched me play that and he just wanted to pick it up. So I duplicated my save, and we haven't branched off for that long, but in like the hour or two since my save file, he has gone in a completely different direction, and I am
Nice.
way over on a different part of the map. And it's just like, okay, I guess you can really just go where you want. This is very much Breath of the Wild style, like maybe not quite that open, but like if you can see someplace, if you can figure out a way to get there, you can. And it depends on how many echoes you have, and you get more and more as you continue. But you can start stacking things in interesting ways and kind of puzzle solving to give yourself a leg up over a cliff or over a hill or on top of some trees, which then you can use those to jump down to a different point. So super, super interesting puzzle solving that I was wondering at first if it would be broken or feel weird. Um, but it's not at all. I'm very much enjoying it.
I'm very early in. I love the intro. I love how they basically start with Link. It's a hero in like a robe, like in the cloak, which is kind of
Mhm.
cool. And Link's having a great time. I'm loving jumping. It reminds me of Link's Awakening, which I
Yeah.
loved on the Switch. And I'm there, and when it switches over to Zelda, as Link's gets taken away, and then it feels like a throwback to Link's Awakening, where Zelda's thrown in the jail, where Link
Yeah.
was thrown in the jail for
Yeah.
Link's Awakening. And I like that. And the fact that Zelda is, at this point, is trying to use her intelligence to navigate with the abilities she gets, which
Mhm.
basically is the echoes, which is basically duplication of efforts of things. So first you start with a cot, then you get like a crate, and you do
Yeah.
things like that. I have not gotten more than that.
Okay.
I'm like I said, I'm super early in, and I'm like, I'm going to play more, and I couldn't because I didn't have enough time. But I like what they're going with, and I know there's certain things that are going to come through, which I'm excited for. And I think, based on, I was listening to DLC podcast, Joseph Moran was on there. It was great listening to Joseph, and he was sold on the game after they talked about like the fact that yes, you eventually get an ability that allows you to have some offensive skills,
Yeah.
but the echoes also allow you to catch them all and experiment with villains and enemies in a
Yeah.
way that is very fun. And you're kind of like orchestrating the chaos, which I think
Yeah.
is very, very cool.
It is one, you get that ability very early on. So
Okay.
you will have that ability before you know it, where you basically, mild spoiler, but yeah, you get an item that allows you to basically kind of channel Link's energy and become like a sword fighter, offensive abilities, that kind of stuff. Won't spoil how it happens or anything like that, but that's basically it. And you only get that for a limited amount of time. So it's like a
Yeah,
magic
which is
bar
great.
runs out and you're back to your normal echoes. But yeah, you're right. You can, any enemy that you defeat, the first time you defeat them, you can copy their echo, or pretty much every enemy anyway that I've
Did
experienced.
Nintendo sue themselves over that? Like you catch them all? Did you throw a ball to catch them? Did they have to sue themselves, Mark? I can't remember.
It probably did. Um, I am surprised by the speed in which you collect echoes,
Oh,
because
nice.
I really expected this to start off relatively slow, slowly kind of build up your repertoire. it tosses you in. I have a collection, but that's one of the few issues that I have so far. Is there are several ways to organize your collection
Oh,
of echoes,
sure.
like most used, recently captured.
It's kind of like the link food in Breath of the
Honestly,
Wild, right? It's
yeah,
like food, like it's like, oh my god, I got to deal with inventory management.
yeah. There's no real great way to manage your inventory, and because I think they could have probably laid it out in a better grid, because right now it's just a line. So think of like even your
Oh,
Switch home menu, but instead of like you have that little
it's,
line and then you go to the end and it breaks down all the games in a
it's like
better
this the
grid.
PlayStation where it's across the board and
Yeah,
you go deeper. It's like, oh, that's not great
but
because
think of it where
yeah,
you couldn't go deeper. Like
mm.
there's no eventual grid that I've seen so far. It's just always a line. So
And
as you
there's no
get
like
like,
sorting, like is there any sorting? Like
yeah,
it's like this
you can
is like
sort in a few different ways.
enemy, this is like offensive, this is like building. Is there some of
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, you can sort. There's I think 4 or 5 different ways you can sort it. So
Okay,
that helps for sure.
sure.
But um but I still think they could have done something better. I don't know exactly what it is. I'm thinking
All
a
on one
grid.
page versus like, oh, I got to go over there. What am I
That's
missing?
it.
And
I'm
it's yeah,
thinking a grid
yeah.
rather than a line, because once you get 20, 30 echoes or
Uh,
whatever, like it just feels like, oh shoot, I haven't used the rock in a little bit, but I need to
because
drop it on
it's you
something.
just don't want to go over far enough. It's
Where
like,
am I going?
uh,
So then you
I'm
kind of start to default to using the same ones a little bit
yeah,
over and over again until you hit a puzzle piece. But I find for like combat, I use the same couple over and over because,
okay.
especially if they're close on my list, like you said, you're starting to organize or orchestrate this chaos where you drop one enemy and then you switch to the type and you drop another enemy. So you've got, let's say again, not much spoilers because it's been shown in the trailers, but you have like, um, something with a sword attack or something like that, an enemy with a sword and a bat. So you could have like attacks from the air that are distracting the enemies, and then like the knight or whatever with the sword comes and chops the enemy and defeats it that way, right? So there are like distractions and different combat things, and you again, like you said, perfectly, you're organizing this chaos or orchestrating this mayhem. Um, but like I like to challenge myself and say like, oh, maybe I can drop a different enemy, or maybe I can try this a different way. But again, if you don't want to do that, you can probably just spam the same ones over and over again and kind of make it
It's a
easy.
mattress adventure,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's a
Um,
joke, right? Could I just beat this with mattresses only? I think is one of the internal jokes. I was going to ask you, Mark, in regard to this, is there like any like refresh time? I know we know the link ability of combat is timed, but in regards to anything else, is there like a refresh to bring another enemy on? Is there a refresh in regards to bringing on another mattress?
no, you're
Okay,
limited. So try your little helper who gave you the
yeah.
try staff or whatever. The thing that allows you to make duplicates. Um, you are basically that little fairy elf thing character,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, has what I'm going to describe as a tail
Mm-hmm.
made of. I think you start off with 3, maybe 4 shards,
Oh, that's
I
your
suppose,
like
and
replenishment tail.
that is it. So
Mm,
let's say a bat costs 1 shard. You can have 4
okay.
bats on the screen at a time. A a knight warrior or a moblin or something like that, like a spear throwing one, I think would be 2, right? So you
Okay.
can have 2 of those, or
2.
one
Okay.
of those and 2 bats.
And 2. Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
You
That's
know,
simple enough. Yeah.
so and they limit you.
What
So like you,
replenishes is there a way to like add to that tail length to add
yes,
more or
yeah.
no?
So as you
Okay.
complete different things, I think you start off with 3, and right now I have 4.
Are
So
you going
like
to shrines? No, just kidding.
no, well, you get it from defeating
Sure.
a dungeon or whatever, right?
Okay.
Like the same as
Got it.
any other traditional Zelda game. Like
Yeah.
that's your skill level up. That's your
Sure.
new, instead of getting the
Okay.
hook shot, you get one extra shard piece.
Yeah, it's kind of like the
That's really good.
stamina or the whatever heart
Yep.
pieces or things like that.
And
Okay,
and
cool.
that seems to be kind of how they gatekeep, because
Hmm.
certain things, like let's say again, you can, for the bed, for example, which is hilarious by the way, as a side piece, if you want to
Hmm.
replenish your health when you're not in combat, drop a bed
Put a
somewhere
bed
and lay
down.
down, and you just
Nice. I
slowly
like that.
recover your health.
Sure.
Um,
That's cool.
it's hilarious because you can just be literally like camping anywhere and you're just replenishing your health as long as there's nothing attacking you.
I gotta imagine some of the overworld's like, who the hell is leaving all these beds around? I'm like,
Well,
holy
and
shit.
you call
Although it's like
everything
free
back,
bed,
right? That's how
a
you
free bed.
replenish. That's how you replenish your
Okay.
shards. So
Okay.
the second you're done with it, you call everything back, and then you have them to work with
Okay.
again, right? Or as
Okay.
you move on to a different section, they automatically kind of get recalled. So nothing really stays permanently in the world. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, so back to my point. So the amount of shards you have, that's kind of how they gatekeep in this game. So you may come to a point where there's a cliff face, and let's use the beds as an example because you can kind of stack those like stairs. So you might have at that point 4 beds that you can stack, but the place you're trying to reach, you need 5 or 6,
It's like
right?
stamina in some ways, right?
Exactly. And when you get up and you try to stack that 5th bed on top of the 4, the bottom one disappears, everything falls down, and you can't get up there. Um, so they do some very Breath of the Wild stuff, like you said, with stamina. Only this time it's how many echoes you can create on the screen at one given time. Plays very interestingly with, again, even the attack and the combat mechanics, because at times, yeah, you could send, like there's times that I'm like, okay, I'm going to send 4 bats at this enemy, or I want something with a little bit more force, and like one bat or one thing, like I said earlier, to distract that thing while something else comes up and hits it with an axe. So there's some very interesting combat and puzzle solving mechanics. And again, it's the Zelda team, it's Nintendo. I don't know why I expected it to be broken and uninteresting, but I've been very pleasantly surprised.
It is interesting because um, I was mixed on Tears of the Kingdom.
Mm.
I know, Mark. I know we both kind of struggled with that game in
Yeah.
certain ways. We
Yeah.
both loved Breath of the Wild, and the fact was, we're like, oh, I loved a Link's Awakening, because I'm like, I love the fact that they um, really went back to the kind of the heart of it. They made it better. It was fun, and I feel like this game it's like, okay, we're gonna bridge both, kind of like the modern 3D plus the 2D that people loved,
Mm-hmm.
and bring in some innovation to it. And I like the approach to it because it feels very accommodating, and it
Yeah.
feels like it's not overwhelming, which I think Tears of the Kingdom, it often felt overwhelming. It's like, I could go a billion places. I don't know what to do. And I feel like, well, I'm stuck. And if I don't come back to the game, I'm going to be lost. This one feels a little bit more approachable to that. And that's great,
Mm-hmm.
especially for younger gamers, because I know a lot of people have said, Tears of the Kingdom lost me, because it's like, I didn't know where I ended. And I could go down the chasms. I could build things. It was just too much. Like, I
Yep.
was frozen with
And
choices.
and like I said, Finn and I are on 2 very different paths, but very early on, again, they kind of give you 2 directions to go in. They're on opposite ends of the map. I picked one
Hmm.
dot that led me in a certain direction. Finn evidently either picked this other dot or just naturally gravitated in that direction. So we are in vastly different parts of the map, and he's just been figuring things out. He has echoes that I haven't seen, and I have echoes
Ooh,
that he
nice.
hasn't seen. It is really, really cool to see something that, let's say, after 30 minutes to an hour, I duplicated the save. And since then, it is vastly different games
Oh, that's
that
great.
we've experienced. It is really, again, bringing me back to Breath of the Wild. When you first started playing that, I remember so vividly talking to Bobby, the Nintendo guru, about that game, and being like, "Oh, I went this way," and he'd be like, "Oh, I went that way," and I said, "I saw this," and he'd be like, "I didn't see that, but did you see this?" And like every single day, it'd be a new
Yep.
thing. And we like finally, after like 100 hours, we were like, "Did you do this?" "Yeah, I did that." "Oh, thank God, we finally saw something that was similar." Like just such different experiences, and this is bringing back, like you said, you have Link with the blue hoodie on, and I think that's a very intentional purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And Zelda puts that on too. Um, I think that's very, very intentional. A very intentional way to bridge that chibi art style, that top or isometric, whatever, top down view, and a little bit of that inspiration from Breath of the Wild and this open world that we're used to experiencing in the new games, by giving him the blue tunic and saying, like, this is kind of the Breath of the Wild Link, or at least that look, with the tunic and the blue instead of just like, this plucky little green fella. So it's a fun way to kind of bridge those two game styles and philosophies of the way you have to think about and approach this game. It's a really interesting game.
Yeah, it is interesting, and I think that's a very cool way to approach it because um, oftentimes Tears of the Kingdom was daunting.
Yeah.
Like say, it was huge. It's like, where do you go? And it's like you could play that game for 10 hours and feel like you accomplished nothing. And that was a big challenge for people. And I felt that way many times. I'm like, I have to feel like I accomplished something. And I'm like, I didn't. So I'm like, where am I doing? So is my time spent better elsewhere? I feel like this game is more condensed. So you get a feel of that, but
Yeah.
you can also feel like you've accomplished something and you can have fun and say, hey, look what I did.
Yeah.
And this is very an interesting way to accomplish that. So
Well,
I think it's a
yeah.
cool approach to Zelda, quite
Yeah.
honestly.
And like I said, there right now, that's starting. There's only 2 points on the map, so you can pick two. Feels like a broad
Yep.
choice, but it also gives you two very real points to track down. So you're feeling like you're
Mm-hmm.
accomplishing something, and along the way to those points, you are getting so many echoes that it feels like every couple of seconds, every couple of screens, even though the screen doesn't change, but I still kind of think of it in those like moving, shifting tile screens. But like every couple of minutes, you're getting a new echo. You're coming across a new bad guy or a new item. And it just feels like you are constantly being rewarded for checking out a new tunnel, for going around a new corner, from taking on an enemy and figuring out how to defeat them. Every second, every couple of minutes, there's some kind of new reward. I think they really learned from Tears of the Kingdom in that respect, where there's like hardly a couple of minutes that go by where you're not seeing something or getting something new or getting some sort of reward for every little thing that you're doing that feels, again, condensed, real, rewarding, and feels like you're moving along with your skills.
Yeah, I think it's a big part of it. It's like it's risk and reward. It's experiment and reward. I think Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom at the time, I felt like I was not getting rewarded very often unless I was rewarded with my own weird, like, I like that part. I felt there was just too much and too broad at times that was frustrating. And I'm like, okay, cool. I know people loved it. I'm like, after a while, I just burned out. I'm like, okay,
There was
it's too much
more of like
effort to,
a Minecraft style reward in that game, right? Like it was your own self
yeah,
satisfaction of like, look at the
yeah.
crazy shit that I built, right? It was that kind of thing rather than like I leveled up, I got a new weapon. It was just like, yeah, I super glued these things on top of each other and added this, and now it's a flame throwing dragon with 6 wheels that can go over a mountain. Um, yeah, like a very different style of reward, but I get why people liked it. But yeah, for you and I think we both kind of felt similarly about that.
Yeah, if building is not in your wheelhouse, I felt like the return on investment was less because it's like, I want to do the least amount to make that guy's sign stay up. And that was
Yeah.
like my challenge.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make a vehicle that can go on 4 wheels because I'm going to screw up. And then I go to that shrine. I'm like, shit. 85 times making it, trying to do the thing I want to do. I'm like, that's not fun anymore. I'm like, just kill me now. Can I just hire somebody to do that for me? So that's where I kind of laid off, even though I've heard the game is got some amazing elements. I'm like, can I just play like the simplified version of that to get to the cool story elements versus having to do all the grunt work? So this is a game I think that maybe meets us on other people's terms, which is cool. So check out this game, folks. I think this is amazing that we're getting a Zelda heroine game that, yes, you get to do some side swiping with Link, but it is quite not the focus. It is quite honestly about doing more with creativity. So check that out. So with that, Mark, I want to say, folks, let us know what you've been gaming. If there's anything you want to say about the games we've been playing, your thoughts on Zelda Echoes of Wisdom or any other games you've been playing, let us know. But until then, listen to this ad. Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencaster. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencaster is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. Provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencaster because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencaster has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencaster? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencaster. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencaster's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencaster's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to Zencaster.com/pricing and use my code SFU1. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencaster paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show. We're in the bonus round, folks. And Mark brought this topic forward. It's pretty cool because we are looking at Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is kind of essentially the really first version of a Zelda game where Zelda is the lead character. And Mark said, hey, let's talk about what type of game we'd want with a secondary or backup character where they would headline the game. And what type of gameplay would we want from that?
Yeah.
So, Mark, since this is your topic, tell us more.
Sure, and I know it's not her first game, but we also got a Princess Peach
Spirit Tracks
game. No, Spirit Tracks was still a Link game. That was still Link heavy.
Was that? I thought Zelda was like a main character in that. Like she was like doing armor stuff, or you could use your spirit.
Yeah, you could use Zelda to take over some armor and do some cool things, but it was still
not
a
a
Link focused game. It was
okay.
You were very much controlling Link for most of that. So this is Zelda's getting her due in this one. And I know it's not her first game, but like I said, Princess Peach got her Princess Peach Showtime. I think she had one game before that, but yeah, I think I don't want to say side characters. That feels a bit reductive, but like characters that aren't usually the main playable character in a game. I thought it would be interesting to talk about that secondary character, backup, NPC, side character, storyline character. I guess, Zelda, it's usually her story, I guess, but like how you rescued the princess. So if you could take one of those characters, have them headline a game, what would the game be, and what would the gameplay be? Would it be the exact same as the original base game, or would you change something? Like what genre of game would it be? How would you do it? I have some examples that I think would be fun, Todd. I came up with 4.
Okay.
What did you come up with a few, or do you want me to like pitch up?
Oh, I did, Mark.
Oh,
And
sure.
considering we're right in the middle of a bunch of announcements with the PlayStation 5 with their Pro, and they also had their State of Play. We also had TGS.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of announcements there. And it led me to my first game. Do you want me to start?
Yeah.
So this is already happening, which is just crazy. Ghosts of Tsushima. So they are getting a expansion of that franchise in a way with Ghosts of Yotai. So basically, it's a forward-thinking game, which is kind of cool. It's basically saying this is, I don't know how many years in the future, but we've essentially got gunplay now with like firearms in the world of Ghosts of Tsushima, where Jin Kazama, the originally Jin, not Kazama, sorry, that's another character, but Jin, who is the Ghost of Tsushima, this is kind of like he's a legend now, and we've got someone being inspired with him, which is a female samurai is essentially taking over with it's an era of guns in a different era. So that's kind of cool. So we essentially are leading into that type of viewpoint with the series where they can take it and go different places. So it's not exactly the same because you're like, oh, it's an existing person within it. But I'm like, this is kind of cool where it's not just the next version of this game. It's an expansion of it with a new character that is doing something different. So if that doesn't work, I apologize, but I'm very excited about this game. So Ghost of Yotai is coming in 2025 to PlayStation. Sorry.
You know what? We're playing fast and loose with some rules. So if it makes you excited, I think it counts. I'm gonna throw one out that's very related to Zelda, and that's a character that we've seen a ton of. We've learned a little bit on, and she's been there have been different iterations. Sometimes she's an old woman. Sometimes she's a little bit more in line with Link and Zelda's, but maybe a tiny bit more seasoned. And that would be Impa. I think we
Oh,
could get
okay.
a very cool like Impa game of maybe like Impa in her youth or training, or even like an older Impa that's still kicking ass and taking names. I don't say this lightly. I think everyone that listens to this show regularly knows how I feel about this genre, but I think if anyone could make me interested in it, it is the Zelda team stealth action game with Impa.
Oh, okay.
I think would be very cool. We've had tiny pseudo stealth elements in some Zelda games, but nothing really. But I think a more fast-paced action, but maybe like a little bit more focus on also, some stealth mechanics, because you're not jumping in with the Sword of Time. You're kind of like more ninja-esque with Impa. So I think that would be very, very interesting to see that team's take on that kind of genre.
I like that because I think Zelda and their worlds has opportunities to expand upon certain characters, especially the Guardians as they brought them forward.
That was my next one.
Son Logan, I was going to say my son's Logan loves what is the little boy that flies I can't remember his name.
Burritos?
Yes, the little guy though from Tears. God, what was his name?
I can't remember his name.
I'm blanking. Yeah, the little flying guy. Yeah. Logan loves him to pieces, and he would want a game. I got him a phone case with him. I got a shirt because he loves the character so much. And it's like, yeah, I think the Guardians, any of the Guardians could have a spin-off game too, Mark. Quite honestly.
Oh, absolutely.
Within Zelda.
Yeah, definitely. That was my next one.
I think
was going to be
the
champions. Yep.
Okay, well, bring it in. You might as well go there since.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say the same kind of thing. Like give them, but I think that one would be more of a traditional style, like just action Zelda style game. Um, very, but like using their different abilities as them. Like I know Link's gotten some of their powers in the past and that kind of thing, but I think um the way I picture it would be changing from the different characters. Like one mission could be Goron, another mission could be the Rito, and playing with their different like play styles, having a heavy character, having a light character, having a more stealth character or whatever. I think would be very, very interesting. So I'd love that. Whether it was focusing on just one or focusing on all
That would
four
be
or
great.
focusing on a new team that's um, we have to bring together four different people from the four different kingdoms to pull off a heist or a mission or this kind of thing. Link's off fighting Ganon, but this is important
I was gonna say,
too.
how often is Link just gone and nobody knows where he's at? I'm like,
Yeah, right.
we gotta rescue Link's ass.
That's it. Or like he's busy with some stuff, but this is that's the A team. Link is the A team. We're the B team. There's still some important
This
shit
is like
for us to get
this is like the Defenders to the Link's Avengers, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I want to see that
Okay.
team have their own game.
Yeah. The name of the character is Tulin. He's the little guy, super cute, like Hawk Boy,
Yeah.
things like that. Logan loves him to pieces. Got him a phone case and a shirt. Yeah, he loves him. He's awesome. He's the guy that makes you like fly. He gives you a little extra wind so you get where you need to go.
Yeah.
So
Very
love him
similar.
to pieces.
And whether it's
Okay.
them, Rivali would have been the one from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
where,
Rivali was
it's
awesome. I loved
awesome.
God, Breath of the Wild. That extra push, Rivali was amazing. Yeah, yeah, I know.
So good. Any
All
other
right.
examples you have?
Yeah, Mark, I've got an Xbox One.
Okay.
This is a weird one. I'm not sure how this would work, but I think it could work really well. Cortana.
Ooh.
Halo.
Yeah.
I think of like, how could Cortana use her abilities to essentially link a team together from the Halo universe? Kind of be like, maybe she could hop and control characters. Like that would be her ability. Like I'm going to go in, like instead of like having different Spartans, maybe she could go in and link and take over certain characters, almost like a entity.
Like Geist
And
from
you
GameCube.
exactly. And I'm like, how cool would that be? Because I mean, Cortana is like a tactical expert. She is well versed in a lot of like combat lore, tactics, strategy, whatever. And I'm like, that could be so cool with like a maybe they find a new Spartan who maybe is like a rookie, is the best way to put it. And then they would team them up with like Cortana is going to help you through different areas where you can maybe send out Cortana to like control characters, or maybe Cortana is the main character and helps the new Spartan along their way.
Yeah.
And it creates kind of an interesting mix of, are you going in as Cortana to the different characters? Are you going forward and controlling where Cortana goes? And it could create an interesting mix of like, how do we manage this? And am I the expert, or do I rely on Cortana and I take her lead?
Yeah.
Which would be a lot of fun.
It'd be interesting to see that even from a non-Spartan perspective of
Sure.
like a regular person that just happened to put on the helmet. They probably
And
couldn't
has to
put
take
on.
direction for Cortana.
Yeah, I mean, and to play it differently because they probably couldn't fit in the rest of the Spartan armor because the Spartans are massive, right? So you get a regular Joe Schmo that's just trying to survive this shit, and they see a helmet and they're like, "Okay, I'm gonna."
And she's almost like a training program to them.
Yeah, she's the one that's saying, "Okay, I'm gonna go hack into this. You have to stay low, or you just like protect this hallway while I'm doing this." And the person has no combat training. I think that'd be a very interesting take, because we've seen highly trained regular people in ODST. We've seen Spartans, but we haven't seen like a normal-ish person in that universe, or like at least there's perspective of playing from that normal kind of person. I think that'd be really cool. And that's such a great way to do it, of like Cortana or an assistant or whatever, just like, hey, you found this dead Spartan's helmet. The rest of the armor is not going to hit. You cannot take as many hits as a Spartan or an ODST, but we're going to get through this together.
Yeah, and it leads into maybe a situation where you have to figure out restraint and learning, or maybe there's points where you disagree, and then do you take a chance or do you listen? So it's like risk reward. Maybe there's a bonus for like going this way and showing her like, hey, I can do this, and it becomes like a child parent relationship too, where it's like respecting where, yeah, Cortana's like got a lot of experience, but this person may have something to add to the program. So it becomes like a learning experience, a kind of a mentorship, which could add a lot of moments where you've got like Chief, who's kind of a badass. It's like, what is he going to really take away from a program versus someone who's new and maybe needs a little more direction. So that's kind of where I thought with Cortana. I'm like,
I love
why
that.
not do something a little bit different?
I love that. Absolutely. That's really cool.
Okay, Mark, what's next?
I've got my wheels turning. All right, I've got two more.
Me
more. Too. Okay, perfect. The first one I'm going to say is someone that we've seen as an ensemble. We've seen on his own versus a bunch of other people, but never had a story completely revolved around him. I'm going to say Captain Falcon in a bounty hunting game.
Oh, really?
Supposed to be a bounty
He's
hunter.
going to kick ass with a big foot and collect bounties.
I think throwing him in and having him do some badass bounty hunting through, and he has, fast car, fast spaceship, whatever you want, and that's how he planet hops. And
he gives me 80s vibes.
Oh yeah,
Captain Falcon, 80s vibes. Like, could we get David Hasselhoff as the voice actor?
I think like ham it up big time. I was thinking more like Beautiful Joe, but like, yeah, David Hasselhoff voice vibes, 100%. Let's have his car talk to him. I don't even care. I just think straight action, beat him up. Like you said, like that cheesy 80s Captain Falcon.
I love that.
Someone who screams out their finishing moves like One Piece, like Falcon punch. Like I want that to be just full 90s beat 'em up ham and have some fun with it. That future like cyberpunk kind of, with like that 80s tone, God, there's like a band called The Midnight that does this really awesome like synth vibe. That would be amazing. Yeah, absolutely. Like Nintendo's take on what was it, Blood Dragon?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like cyberpunk, but PG, not PG-13 or R-rated.
Yeah, everything's just neon and crazy, and he's just screaming out Falcon kicks and Falcon punches and collecting his bounties as he goes along.
There's like a cartoon, like an Archer of that thing. It's called like Paradise City or something like that. Very similar vibes of like, oh my God, they got it. They nailed it. Yeah. Very cool. I like that, Mark. Captain Falcon. He needs some love.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm bringing in someone off the bench. A little older, a little wiser, but obviously has a lot of stories to tell. And that's Sully from the Uncharted series.
Ooh, okay.
Nate is kind of like brought him along, but I mean, Sully's been there. He's known places. And I think we go back to the 80s for Sully. I mean, I think of like Duran Duran, Hawaiian shirts, maybe white jackets, a lot of cocaine everywhere around his body. Yeah. I don't know. But he's like looking into like different areas of like, he's looking for the fountain of youth in Miami. Why not? With what was the conquistador that did that? There was probably somebody explorer there. Yeah. But he's exploring like the shifty parts of the southern parts of North America. So like New Orleans, Miami. He's going to find like conquistadors' treasures. Sully is there in like a Camaro with T-tops, with a chick with, I'm thinking like Burt Reynolds vibes. And this is like Sully's tales.
I like it.
Is what I'm going to call it. He's going to have fun. There's going to be sinkholes in Florida. There's going to be rednecks he's take on. There's going to be like weird like American like deputies like in, Smoking the Bandit. But it's going to be Sully who goes above all this. Maybe he's got like one of those like vehicles with like the what's the big like they're out in the Everglades with the big old like spinner in the back with what's it called?
Like a hover.
I'm trying to remember, like the hovercraft kind of. Sure, why not? He's in a hovercraft. He's taking on corrupt rednecks, Sully Tales, redneck incursion is what I'm doing.
I love it. I love that. That is fantastic. Vice City meets Ponce de Leon.
Yeah,
let's go.
Oh yeah, yeah. Lots of neon, lots of bad suits, sexy ladies, cocaine everywhere.
I love it. I dig it, and yeah, I can. Oh man, I can picture that game just being.
You can taste the cocaine right now, Mark. Right?
Yep, 100%. Don't do drugs, kids. Stay in school.
No, don't do drugs.
My last choice. This could go either way, and I'm saving this for last because I don't have a great idea. I just think.
Oh.
Well, I don't know.
So there's something there. There's something there, but you don't know.
There's something there. No, you know what? I'm changing this. I just thought of something else.
Perfect.
My original idea, what I have written down here, is Isabelle or Tom Nook. And I was thinking like more of a Sim City style, like town planner versus Animal Crossing, where you're like, you're the resident versus like you're the planner kind of person.
It's the red tape simulator with Tom Nook being like the bad mayor, where he's like, you can't zone that region because you can't do that. And I've gotten bribes to do the opposite.
But it could also be like, I was thinking of something else completely, like Isabelle's big day off, and just have her going on some crazy adventure, like a toned down kiddie version of like the Legend of Zelda or something like that, where she just goes on this adventure, but it's very like baby's first Zelda game, open adventure.
Sure.
So that's what I was originally thinking, but I'm thinking now of the KK Slider music game. I think would be super fun.
Okay.
Bring back some like Guitar Hero vibes, do some like acoustic guitar covers of a ton of songs, all of KK's hits, and give Nintendo
KK Slider World Tour. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Oh, like that.
Give us I want like full on too accessory. I want a plastic guitar accessory with this one. I want this full Guitar Hero vibes, but
are we making merch and selling it?
100%.
Are we doing that kind of stuff, Mark? Yeah. We selling tickets? We taking on Ticketmaster? Are we doing that kind of stuff? Are we like hiring like roadies? Are we firing like musicians?
You're going with this one.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, you could go really far. This could be a great time.
I was literally just thinking, Animal Crossing Guitar Hero, but you want to throw some sim elements in it? Let's go crazy. Let's blow this out. And maybe that's
like Tom Nook is like the guy who's like the corrupt manager who's like charging too much, and he gets taken to court because it's like, you can't charge like $35 for like ticket fees. Yeah,
we went very different. I was thinking like Isabelle goes on tour and helps him out. You're thinking Tom Nook's the crooked one. Maybe
he's the corrupt manager that ends up screwing up the band.
And then
I want like the Girls Forever. Have you watched the Girls 5 Ever sitcom?
No.
Oh, it's amazing. So there's this sitcom on Peacock. It's probably from it's from Tina Fey, where it's basically an aging girls band who got screwed over by their manager. They were called Girls Forever because Girls 5 Ever because it's more than 4. Girls Five Ever. It's amazing. It's Sarah Bareilles is in it, Mark. That made me think of like a corrupt manager like Tom Nook. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. So that's my idea. Something with Animal Crossing. I don't care who it is, but I like the idea of Nintendo just coming out with like a Guitar Hero version of just like KK Slider songs and other, like, you could throw in some Nintendo covers, but I think a plastic guitar, I think we've talked about this before. It's time to get some plastic guitars back.
Yes.
Fortnite needs to do it with the Fortnite jam mode or whatever the hell that's called. But I think Nintendo could do it with this. I think KK Slider is just so great. He could play Nintendo covers. He could play his own songs from the Animal Crossing games. He could just go crazy with his little acoustic guitar and a big set. I think it'd be great.
You can play Jingle Bells. You can play Happy Birthday. All the great Wii music covers.
Exactly.
Gotta love it. Okay, my last game is kind of a fun one, but it is essentially the ascension of Atreus from God of War.
Ooh.
So this is like Atreus' day out.
Oh, yeah.
He has taken over for Daddy Kratos. He's going and doing his own thing. He's been a bigger part of the God of War series, and I think at this point it's time for him to give his dad the middle finger and show that he is a demigod that is ready to rock and show all the different gods his abilities. So I think this is cool because Atreus has shown up in both games. It's been amazing. And I think at this point, Kratos can take a back seat, and we need to have Atreus come back and show his own value. So I think this is kind of cool, kind of like the young kid who has to show his dad that he's got some value. So I will take Atreus, demigod of war, demigod of whatever. And I think he's going to make some mistakes, and he's going to have fun along the way, Mark.
That'd be awesome. And I think you could have a similar play style to God of War, but again, playing more into those strengths. Maybe a little less, I'll charge headfirst into anything like Kratos can, where he's not the God of War. He is a little different. You know, he might have
the son of war.
might have to be a little bit more thoughtful about how he approaches combat. Might be a little bit more stealth or distance or planning involved or something like that. A little bit more tricky, mindful with your combat. It could be
more of a politician of war. Exactly. I think it becomes a scenario where, like, what would you do with that character? I think that'd be great because I think with Kratos, we've kind of seen his arc, and now it's for Atreus to find his way. And what would you do next with him? I think would be a great next iteration of that series, especially as we I'm a dad of a son of a kid going to college right now. I haven't let it go. I have to let him go.
Mm-hmm.
I can't talk to him every day in college. What are you doing? Where are you spending your money? Why are you doing Patreon? I don't know. It is what it is. But at this point, Atreus needs to be on his own, just like Logan needs to be on his own. So, Sorry, Mark. Put on my laundry there. So enjoy that. Dad letting go.
It happens. Yep.
It happens. Well, very good. This was fun. I like this, Mark. We don't always get to do our own the duopolis of this show, and we're gonna have some guests going forward. But I'm glad we got to do this. It's very fun. We take up our time. We like to talk, and we like to have a good time. Yeah. So, with that, Mark, tell people where they can find you around the interwebs.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and of course, hanging out in our Discord channel, everywhere at Canardian_Jedi.
Excellent. You can follow me at Tioxtra on the Threads, at Secret Friends Unite on the Threads. You can go to our Patreon, Secret Friends Unite, or patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite, our website, secretfriendsunite.com, and everything above. We got a YouTube page. We've got a Facebook page. We got everything out there. Just let us know where you want us to connect with you. and we're excited to do that every week along the way. So, Mark, thank you for joining me talking about video games. And folks, if you'd like to join us, let us know. We love to have guests. And with that, remember, folks, it's always better to game together.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.